G'day guys, Mike Beery here. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're talking about the most important power move that you need to make, and if you're not making, today's the day that we get started, because all of the powerful players, all the best players in the world are making this move, and this is probably one of the most common things that I don't see in the recreational player. Let's go get started. If you are new to the channel, then thanks for joining me today, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell as well, just so that you're caught up with all of the new content that I put out. And if you're not a new subscriber, if you're already here, then thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Today I've got a question for you guys. Who has the most power on tour? And I'm not necessarily talking about clubhead speed. Let's factor in height, size, weight, all that sort of thing. Drop it down below. Who do you think has the most powerful swing on the PGA Tour? Now, I know that you guys have seen a lot of articles and a lot of videos on power, and I hope that they've helped. Today, what we're looking at is width versus narrowness, and we're looking at backswing versus downswing. So let's get started, because this is something that I see all the good players do, and I see most recreational players, like I said, make a bit of a mistake with this. So looking at the backswing versus the downswing, and more specifically, let's look at when the club is parallel to the ground and the takeaway, halfway back, let's call it, it's much wider here. This is in fact the widest part of the swing. At the same position on the downswing, you're going to see that the club narrows, it moves significantly forwards. So compare this backswing position to the downswing position. Now there's several reasons why this has happened. One, we shift our weight towards the target on the downswing. Our wrists later in the backswing hinged, so now we have lag and that stored energy, so that's also going to bring the club further away than where it started. The recreational player that I see makes the exact opposite mistake. So I see one of two things. Either the downswing is wider than the backswing, or it equals out to be about the same, which essentially means the downswing is too wide. So is this a big deal? Well, yeah, it is a big deal. If you get too wide on that downswing, it's essentially an early release, then we've lost speed by the time we make contact with the ball. Now, additionally, we've also started to move the bottom of the swing back. So we're going to have contact issues. We might hit the ball fat, or we might even hit the ball thin or top it in order to try and not hit it fat. Nothing good happens when we're wide on these full swing shots. So let's go head up to the range and let's go get some work on this so that you know how to work on it. And this is a really good at-home practice drill. Okay, here we are now on the range, and we're going to do a drill that I call drag the chain. We need to go from wide, narrow, and then back to wide again. I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get started. Okay, so what you need is your golf bag, a range stand, something like that. And what I want you to do is take your setup. And we're going to go back to that club level to the ground position during the backswing. Let's just call this position 1. And you're going to place the bag right at the back of the club head. Maybe give yourself 1 inch of room at this point here. So this, remember, is the widest part of the swing here. So when we come back down into the same position on the downswing, we'll call this position 2, let's say. I want for that gap to shrink, or I want you to get that club head away from the bag. So notice when I do this, watch how my weight shifts to the target. I now have more wrist hinge, so I've got that lag, I'm all loaded up and ready to go. So we're going to rehearse this. We'll go from setup to position 1. We're not even going to go up from here, we're going to go straight into 2, straight into that delivery position. Feel almost like the wrists, like a whip cracking. Then back to address again. Go 1, 2, and then back to address again. Now let's add the next step, which is the width on the way through. So we're going back to 1, which is wide, into 2, which is narrow. Now we're going halfway through, and now we're going to feel the width again. And this is where we get that experience of wide, narrow, wide. Now, once you've done that a few times, I want you to incorporate a little bit more movement into it. So you can go back and through, but I want you just to go to that halfway through position on the follow through. And I want you to rehearse that feeling of 1, 2, 3, that little shifting, that narrowing of the swing on the downswing. Now that's a little bit of a complicated swing thought, and sometimes an awkward thought to have on the golf course and when you're hitting balls. So what I want you to focus on is position 3. Train yourself to get to that nice wide extended follow through position, and number 2 is almost going to start to take care of itself, because what we typically see is the opposite. We see wide to wide and then we get narrow on the way through. Teach your body to get to that wide position, and with a little bit of athleticism, it's going to do a lot of the work for you. Alrighty guys, thanks for joining me today. Now you've learned the most important power move that you can make. There's lots of important power moves. This is definitely one of them. And also it's a great at-home training drill to do. Guys, if you like what you saw today, please hit that like button. Of course, it definitely helps out the channel. Leave me a comment down below, and if there's something else that I can help you with, just drop it down there. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And guys, of course, until next time, good golfing.